Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Irv Homer Show. It's Monday, October the 6th, 2008, and we are on the East Coast in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, broadcasting from irvhomer.com. That's broadcasting from irvhomer.com. We do this program Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time. And it goes on to our archive within an hour after the program, and they're saved so you can go back and listen to old tapes and old programs that we've done, predicting a lot of things that are occurring today. Wow, wow, wow. The stock market, of course, went below 10,000 today. As we predicted, I guess about 3 months ago, I anticipate and do not go by the things that I say. Just listen and don't invest accordingly. But I had predicted that the market should level out about 8,900, between 85 and 8,900, because we've been dealing in a false credit society. And a friend of mine who called me this morning said, Irv, he said, where do I go for dinner? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I took your advice and bet some of my friends that the market's going to go below 10,000 when it was at 14. And they said, you're crazy, you're nuts, we'll treat you to the best meal in town. So he called me this morning about 10 o'clock, and he said, Irv, where do I go to dinner? I said, the most expensive place you can find. And it's not funny, folks. I know I got my first hit today in one of my dividend checks, so I know how some of you may be feeling. Anyway, we'll talk about the economy and talk about other things on this program. For those of you that are not familiar, this is a free swinging program. We do have some sponsors coming on board, but they've agreed that anything I say is not their responsibility. They cannot be held responsible for my opinions, my attitude, my prognostication, my language sometimes, because this is a program that's dedicated to telling the truth, and if you don't like it, that's too bad. Sometimes I don't like the truth because it hurts, but you're going to hear what I consider to be the truth, and if you want to challenge anything, you challenge me on the truth. Don't challenge me on what you think. We also have a chat room. You can get your questions posted on the chat room right now, and we'll answer as many questions as we can. The one thing I'm not afraid to say is I just don't know the answer to it. We are getting telephones in about 2 weeks, so you'll be able to call in, and we'll be able to have a conversation back and forth as you do on the regular talk program formats. Let me tell you, there's something that's coming up that you're all invited to. I belonged to the Broadcast Pioneers for many, many years. When I first joined, you had to have 25 years in the broadcasting industry before you become a member. Well, apparently now it's open to the general public. And if you want to become a member of the Broadcast Pioneers, you go to their website, Broadcast Pioneers, what is it, .org or .com, Ron, or something like that? Broadcastpioneers.com, and get an application membership, and it's $25. I think it's $35 a year.
Or 45, I think.
45, well, whatever it is, you'll find out when you. And that's a yearly membership. Those that are retired, I think there's a reduced price. If you're retired from your business or your broadcast industry, but it's open to the public. And this coming Wednesday, October the 15th, rather a week from this Wednesday, at the Bala Country Club, we're going to be discussing and of course lunch is 12 o'clock, it starts. Fee is $25 for the luncheon. And we're going to have a panel on how broadcast stations cover elections. And many of you folks have been concerned about, well, how do they cover the election? Are they biased? How do they do the reporting? And I will be on the panel. Other members of the panel will be Bill Baldini, former NBC 10 WCAU TV news reporter, Bill Roswell, Director of News and Media for KYW News Radio, Terry Ruggles, Morning News co-anchor for NBC 10 WCAU TV, Marsha Rose Shestak, the first woman major market news anchor, Channel 3, Dawn Stenslin, 10 p.m. news co-anchor for Fox 29, WTXF-TV, and Irv Homer, radio talk show host, that's me, and a 1972 vice presidential candidate. And I think I'm the only one in the radio and broadcasting that has ever run for political office, that is the vice presidency. And you'll be in for some shocks and surprises of the platform that I ran on and the gentleman I ran with and what it's like to be a vice presidential candidate. Of course, I wasn't on the ballot in all 50 states, but it gave me an experience as to what you have to say, what you have to look out for, and if you tell the truth, you'll never win. I repeat, if you tell the truth, you will never win an election. You can make promises, but if you tell the truth, you're not going to win. I'll get into that depending upon how much time they give me. I don't know. But let's talk about the economy. And as I said, I took my first hit today in receiving a dividend check, which I expected. The market today and the economic conditions around the world are very interesting because it's an area in which the world has never been into this situation. There have been alliances and allegiances and peace treaties with countries all around the world for years. The United Nations, we had the League of Nations that was going to prevent wars after World War I. Then we had the United Nations during World War II that was going to prevent future wars. But like the American Constitution, many people have read the United Nations Charter, but nobody pays attention to it. And so what had happened, the competition between military power, free countries, and dictators has always been a clash. And so you've had these mini wars that'll go on and on and on because you can't stop people from killing each other. Man is the only animal that kills each other for no reason at all. Animals kill each other for territorial rights, not for power, because there is no power after animals kill each other. But we kill each other just for the hell of it. An animal gets in a fight, the animal itself is in a... No animal tells its young to go out and kill somebody. They teach them how to kill to survive. But they don't say, just go out and kill them because they're there. They do the killing themselves. And wouldn't it be great if all the leaders of the world fought the wars themselves? Put them in a big coliseum, a big stadium, let them kill each other. And we, the people, would be happy as a pig in mud just to do our thing. But that's a philosophical response to a very serious question. Well, what had happened is that after the major wars of millions of people being killed, 10 million people, 20 million people during over 20 million people during World War II, the big boys figured, you know what, this is crazy. Because with the concept of nuclear weapons, the concept of total destruction, and the fact that after a nuclear war would take place, there wouldn't be any place for us to go. So the big boys in power figured best thing to do is deal with economic control. Let's use natural resources and the power of money to gain control of the world. We can cause more destruction to a society or to a country by destroying them economically, making food impossible for people to buy, making water impossible for them to get. Getting on their minds, stress will kill them. And so the rich and powerful of all the countries, dictators, free countries, our country, dictatorship countries, decided to use natural resources and money, mediums of exchange, to be interdependent one upon the other, and we can destroy the most powerful nation in the world by bringing it to its economic knees. And so this battle has been going on since 1913. They tried it during World War I, kind of got the feel of what it was like. World War II is a little bit better, but they've fine-tuned it. They have fine-tuned the ability to destroy human beings financially with the advent of diseases, of new bacteria, of new type of viruses. power to produce food, the technology of food production, the decontamination of water, and the luxurious life of using natural resources for creature comfort. I doubt very much right now whether or not civilized societies could live without air conditioning or living without oil heat or gas heat. Just think of having to shovel coal to heat your homes this coming winter. Have coal in the cellar. There goes the rec room, there goes the pool table, there goes the bar, there goes the finished paneling. So we become dependent on technology, but with the dependence on technology comes a cost, and that's called money. And so those countries with the natural resources that have made the world interdependent on those natural resources have learned that they can bankrupt the country with their natural resources. And bankrupt the country, the higher the standard of living goes in those countries, the more they can destroy that country to reduce their standard of living. And make the populace of a particular country dependent on government subsidy for them to live. Well, in addition to the governments developing technology for destruction through nuclear weapons, through sophisticated kill ratios, the best bomber, the best fighter, the best bombs, they have bankrupted the countries, which I don't even think the geniuses ever conceived could cause the destruction and the havoc it causes today on people. The increase in alcoholism, the increase in drug addiction, the increase of stress, the increase of people saying I can't, the increase in suicides, the increase of spousal abuse, child abuse, domestic violence, shootings on the streets. All this is a direct result, ladies and gentlemen, of economic pressures. And we've coined things like the working poor. Well, what is the sense in working if you're going to remain poor? And the rich are like the fiddler on the roof. Very delicate. The fiddler on the roof. Those people who have the wealth of the world, not the riches, but the wealth of the world, the irreplaceable entities, are the masters of the universe today. And it's not a conspiracy, and it's not some people that meet in the mountains of Bavaria, have secret societies. They're open and above, ladies and gentlemen, because they know the general populace is too busy with bread and circuses. The complaints that I heard this weekend while I was out socially, that the Eagles and the Phillies were playing at the same time, was a natural catastrophe here in the Philadelphia area. Oh my God, how can we watch the Eagles and how can we watch the Phillies at the same time? Are they crazy? Well, the boys who we've taken our money and let them be the caretaker of our assets, not our wealth, our assets, are playing manipulative games. And as I said, there was a transference, ladies and gentlemen, of goods and services where money became a commodity, which is very important because you can make more money, and I've mentioned this before and I hate to be repetitious, but you can make more money on the international market trading money than you can by producing a good or service. And that's what the big boys were doing. The big boys, the Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, knew that they could make more money with your money that you invested in, quote, securities, and they used that money as a commodity against other money dealers. And that manipulation of money and the value of money, which was yours and mine, because we invested it with the idea that they knew what they were doing, they played this game with our money. And money became the commodity, producing things that we don't need to fill that void in our life, that the more materialism that we accumulated, the better we're going to feel. We got a mink coat, drove a BMW and a Mercedes, lived in a big home. We were going to feel better. Had more bling blings on our fingers and gold chains around our necks. $400 suits, $5,000, $1,300 suit. It's a jacket and a pair of pants for $1,300. You crazy? That was going to make us feel better. $150 ties. Sneakers for $110 for a kid to wear to school. That'll make us feel better. To do this production, of course, we had to have slave labor. Well, we don't have any slave labor in America anymore. So we decided to go offshore. Well, the people around the world said, hey, it's enough of them being enslaved. We want to make a living wage too. So the countries that were then producing goods and services started dealing in exchanging money and currency. When money became a commodity instead of a means of exchange, because it was fiat money, it was letters of credit, it was letters of debt, I predicted, and others like me, who were not voices that you hear on radio or television, but we predicted that money as a commodity was going to be extinct. Extinct to a point where many years ago, when I was involved in the tax movement, there was a national movement called the National Barter Exchange, where some of the good folks, not in the major cities, but in the boondocks, so-called dummies, in middle America, said, we ain't going to use money anymore. We're going to barter our services. And if you remember years ago, when you see these old movies, woman has a baby on the farm and the doctor gets paid in chickens or in eggs. No money. It was a barter system. I believe it was in South Dakota where a state movement started in which they decided to barter goods and services. Wanted a car? Went to the car dealer. Car dealer said, well, the car is $900. I bought my first new car for $900. And so the automobile dealer said, fine, you're a roofer. Car's $900. Need a new roof on my building or my automobile showroom, in my house, my children's house. You put new roofs on, give you a new car. Well, you know what happened there. If that movement would have spread, who's going to pay the taxes? It's a medium of exchange. It was a barter system. And so the government, when they saw this happening, not only in our country, but other countries where bartering is still used today as a means of goods and services exchange, the government clamped down and said you cannot use bar. So that if you had a new roof put on your home, that was considered, say for $6,000, that was considered a $6,000 income that you had to get so that you could put the roof on. And so they started assessing bartering services, which put an end to the barter system, because the old boondock boy said, man, ain't nobody going to pay no money. Why should I do that? Because I got to work, get the money, then give it to him, and somebody's going to take the money that I made out of it, I'm going to do that. I'm going to deal direct with him. Makes sense, though, doesn't it? The bartering system? A little about why the market has failed around the world. You have to understand how money works and why we have fake money. Years ago, and maybe this will explain a little bit what's happening and how you can protect yourself, in my opinion. Caravans, you saw them carrying all kind of goods for years and years and years at the beginning. Man. And they used to pay in gold or silver, natural resources, whatever they were carrying on the caravan. They said, this is getting too darn cumbersome. It's getting too cumbersome. Why don't we have a place where we can put all this gold and silver and platinum and natural resources, and then we'll get a slip of paper that says, on deposit, you have 50 shekels of gold. And so the caravan takes off and reduces half the camels. You guys got the papers. Abdul or Moish or somebody who's got my gold on deposit in a safe somewhere in Pakistan, Budistan, Kuchistan, Uchikuchistan, wherever it was. And that piece of paper was good enough to know that I'm going to get paid for my goods and services. So I take this piece of paper, go there, I get my gold for it. Well, then they said, how does this guy know that there's gold there? Well, let's start drawing on that gold. If I have $100 million in gold stashed, or let's say $10 million, let's say $1 million in gold, I can give out $10 million of paper chips. Nobody's going to redeem them all at the same time. So the faith of the piece of paper that you received was the assumption that there was that gold backing it. You didn't know that it was letters of credit that this guy was giving you. You didn't know there was anything there. Well, that was the evolution of fake money. Pieces of paper assuming that there's something that has a redeemable value. But it was all fake. Well, that's what the world has extended to. The world printed fake money with nothing backing it. Well, if you study the history of money, you can understand that eventually that balloon has got to break. The money that the world was exchanging in the open market exchange, open market currency, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, was all fake money. And so when certain countries said, we need some real money, nothing there. And we were suckers enough to put our money with companies that were guaranteeing us fake promises because they were investing your fake dollars in fake trades. Well, eventually you can't constantly call a Ponzi scheme. Somebody eventually is going to call in the real money. Well, when they looked around the world during this economic recession we're having, there's nothing backing it. That's why I said the market should be about 8,500, because that, in essence, is real wealth that's backing your investment. The other stuff was fiat. There was nothing there to guarantee in the first place. I can give you a note for $40,000 for a mortgage. I don't have the 40. That's fake money. It's counterfeit money. Selling it to you because you're going to pay me back in counterfeit money. But if you don't get the counterfeit money, I can't take the counterfeit money and pay my grocery bill. So the balloon of fake money around the world, ladies and gentlemen, that governments imposed on their people is now coming home to roost. So you have an intrinsic value of worth. It happens in two ways. One is called stagflation. The other is called inflation. The other is called recession. But they use all of these technical terms, governments around the world use it, to hide the real fact that they have been dealing with fake money, fiat money created out of thin air. We did it in 1913 when we sold the power to coin and regulate money as a government to a private bank called the Federal Reserve System. They print fake money, sell it to the United States government. Deutsche Bank in Germany does it. The Bank of Russia does it. The difference is that some of these countries have a natural resource that they can back up. Now, what in America, ladies and gentlemen, can we sell to redeem our wealth? Can we sell our real estate? Do we have oil, gas, natural resources, wind power? Do we have all these things? What can we redeem our money for once we inflated our currency from 1913 till today? We don't have anything to sell. We can sell freedom and democracy. We can sell the freedom to be stupid. We can sell our ability to work and get paid in fake money and invest our fake money with fake investors, with fake investment brokers. And so this thing is coming down, ladies and gentlemen, and now the world is paying the price. There is money in the world. There is wealth in the world. But they're going to have to deflate the currency of this country to survive. Your home that was built and you bought for $15,000 that's now worth $89,000. Your income that's $50,000, $60,000, maybe $90,000. I don't know how much you make. You'll be working once again for $35,000, and your house will drop down to a deflated cost. Instead of being worth $90,000, it'll be worth maybe $40,000. So they deflate the currency. They deflated the currency in England twice because the value kept going up, but the income kept coming down. So they had to match the income with the value of the wealth of the people. So they deflated the currency. The only difference is you don't have that currency. You've got notes of debt called Federal Reserve notes. That's why in this particular time, ladies and gentlemen, we're in what is known as uncharted waters. I'm not an economist, but I knew what was happening. I was extremely poor. I went broke. I went dead broke. The late 50s. And I said, somebody's playing games. Let me learn a little bit about his games played. And so I learned how to play the game. Actually, I learned how to play the game during World War II when I was flying currency with a B-17 around the world. I don't know how much money I had in the plane. And my crew and I were flying this money. We were trading money all over the Middle East. British pounds, lira, dineros, you name it. We were trading money. I didn't know what I was doing. I got orders. Go to this country, pick up bags, and we did it. So money being a commodity, ladies and gentlemen, goes up and down like your real estate value does. A lot of people are going to get hurt financially. But the people, because of America, who has a preponderance of weapons, individual ownership of guns, our government is extremely afraid to cause a real depression in this country. Having dinner with 14 people or 12 people last night, and we were discussing it, and they asked me, I said, well, all the president has to do is invoke the FEMA Act, Federal Emergency Management Act. He can shut the banks, have a bank holiday. He can decapitalize the currency in America. without an executive order, without the approval of Congress, you'll be able to only get $200, $300 out of your bank. You receive half of your dividends. Why is this big drive? Do you think that government and power are afraid of us killing each other on the streets? Are they afraid? With all of these guns. And there's been movements like the Posse Comitatus, the other organizations that have been around, that have been on the terrorist list. Terrorism is not new in America. We had local terrorist organizations. I had a whole book full of them in my briefcase. Signs of the Cross, the Christian Brothers. There must have been 30 or 40 in the 80s when the tax revolt was really hot. So terrorism has been around, and you'll see them springing up again. This bailout was just a little salve on the burn. But we're going to see more domestic violence in America. We're going to see more child abuse. We're going to see more alcoholism. We're going to see more drug use. In fact, we're going to see more legitimate drug use. We're going to be able to get... How many more drugs can you get than you take today, ladies and gentlemen? How many more casinos can we put you in to make you pacify while you're playing bling, bling, bling with the cherries? How many more football games can we give you? How many more basketball games? How many more football games? How many more soccer games? Can we take your mind off the real issues? How much more are the politicians going to talk about who associated with who? We got 30 days before the election. So that's basically the root of the economy. But you, with your own wisdom, going back to what Grandmom and Grandpa taught you about money, are going to be your salvation. Don't look to the government to save you, because they don't know how to save themselves. So this campaign is going to get nasty. Was John McCain part of the Keating Five? Read the New York Times article that John McCain is a heavy casino gambler, very powerful among the Indian tribes and gambling. Or who did Barack Obama associate with? I'll tell you why it's not going to stick. It's right here on my little desk. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Barack Obama is accused of associating with some bad people, right? Apparently the Republicans and McCain didn't realize, or the Democrats didn't realize that in 1997, when Edward Rendell, the governor of the state of Pennsylvania, had a crisis in Grays Ferry in Philadelphia, a racial disturbance there. And so who did he call upon to come to Philadelphia to quell almost a race riot in Grays Ferry? For those of you who don't know, that's a section of, I believe, West Philadelphia. Here is a picture, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but a picture of the governor of the state of Pennsylvania with Louis Farrakhan, who he called to quell the racial disturbance in Grays Ferry. Here is a poster. That was a protest in front of Ed Rendell's home in East Falls at 3425 Warden Drive, Sunday, May 25th, 1997. Louis Farrakhan's statement at Madison Square Garden: all you Jews cannot say never again to God, because when he puts you in the ovens, you will be going in deep. Quote, Louis Farrakhan: all the Jewish groups care about is their parochial selves and not the rest of society. We must protest our enemies. Join us in a loud, peaceful rally in front of Mayor Rendell's home on Sunday, May 25th, 1997, 2 p.m. sharp, 3425 Warden Drive. Directions in the East Falls area off Henry Avenue near the Schuylkill Expressway. Edward Rendell, Governor of Pennsylvania, with Louis Farrakhan, and he got elected governor. So you Democrats are concerned about Obama, associating with the Reverend Wright, associating with Louis Farrakhan. Your governor, Edward Rendell, called Screwy Louie to come into Philadelphia and put down a potential race riot in Grays Ferry, Pennsylvania. Folks, I got the stuff that you're not going to see anywhere else. I dare the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Philadelphia Daily News to print these pictures that I have, or this protest circular that was circulated through Philadelphia. I dare the Philadelphia Inquirer to publish it. Well, the Inquirer right now is in difficulty. It's just defaulted on a $20 million interest loan.
Their circulation will go up with them pictures.
Well, probably the circulation would go up, Ron, with these pictures. Here's a picture. Hey, guy, Brian, my dear ex-friend Brian Tierney, is going to lose a lot of money, I'm afraid. Once again, let me remind you that October the 15th, open to the public, is the Broadcast Pioneers Luncheon at the Ballard Country Club. Wednesday, October the 15th, the Ballard Country Club is $25 per luncheon. You can call 856-365-5600, 856-365-5600. Make a reservation. You'll get a tape. You'll just give them your name, and they'll have a little thing for you to, one of them sticky things to stick on. And you can join. It's an open discussion with Bill Baldini, Bill Roswell, Terry Ruggles, Marcia Rose Shestak, Dawn Stensland, and Irv Homer. And I will show you some things that day. If they permit me to show it, it will boggle your mind. I said boggle. Now, I said if they permit me to show it. We're broadcasting from IrvHomer.com. It is Monday, October the 6th, 2008. Broadcasting from IrvHomer.com. My website, check it out, www.IrvHomer.com. If you want to email me, and we receive a ton of email, evilerv@IrvHomer.com. And all this is brought to you by RGH Computer Services for all your computer problems. The ability to set this type of technology in your office, your place of business is available. You simply call them 215-322-8685. 215-322-8685. I don't know, these pictures aren't on my website, are they, Ron?
No.
No, well, don't put them on there.
No.
I don't. And the governor and me are really buddies. I like it. He's a fun guy. A good guy to have a beer with, good guy to be socially with, but you don't like me because I know where some of the skeletons are, right, Eddie? Okay, we'll talk about that later. All right, let's go to the chat room. We'll take some phone calls. Once again, that number for next Wednesday, October the 15th, luncheon at Ballard Country Club, where there'll be a panel discussing how broadcast stations cover elections, and you'll be able to ask questions there. The moderator will be Jay Lloyd, who has covered over 70 elections for KYW News Radio. Ballard Country Club, $25 a person. Telephone number is 856-365-5600. 856-365-5600. And we'll go to our chat room. And Bob from Memphis. Bush today is going to allow multinational companies to bring offshore money tax-free to shore up the USA business. Is this really just a way of laundering the Cayman Island money? What it really is, Bob, is a reprieve from paying taxes to the multinational corporations that are so patriotic they decided to move out of the United States and set up business offshore. It's not a way of laundering money. It's a forgiveness of tax money that they have evaded paying the United States by moving offshore. And this is why the Hannitys and the Limbaughs and the Medveds are so full of crap on radio when they say big business pays more taxes for blah, 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 blah. Well, you and I, folks, don't have corporations set up in the Cayman Islands or in the Bahamas or in Switzerland or in Abu Dhabi or in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia. Our money is right here and our offices are right here. So these guys that talk about the rich paying their fair share of taxes are full of crap. And the boobuses that believe them are more full of crap. Because you can't get through with the question, if I had all this money and I could move it offshore tax-free, why would I keep it in America? But Insanity Hannity isn't going to let you get through with a question like that. And that boobus that's supposed to be a liberal, Alan Combs, what a disgrace to liberalism. So that's what it is. It's a forgiveness of tax money that should have been paid to the United States, but because of all kind of lobbyists and special, quote, loopholes in the tax code, they let them go offshore. Jerry's question, do you think we can really rely on FDIC insurance? Yes. Because you'll be getting back fake money anyway. You'll be getting back fake money anyway. So FDI insurance is a joke to begin with. If they raise it from $100,000 to $250,000 on deposit, you gave them fake money, they're going to give you back fake money. So, if I'm exchanging counterfeit money, what difference does it make? Now, you may have to wait for it under the FEMA Act. You may get 30 cents on the dollar in 6 months, and then you may get 60 cents on the dollar. You may not get it all at once, but 9 times out of 10 you will get it. They don't expect, and once I say they're traveling in waters that have never been explored, there's no maps, no navigation for this financial mess that the world is in with fake currency. So they will just print more and more money for FDIC. But nobody wants big government. Would you deposit money that's not insured by the FDIC? So the conservatives are full of crap and the liberals are full of crap. I'm against big government. I put my money where it's FDIC insured so big government can bail me out if the bank fails. On the chat room, our question is, what about the prices in the stores? Will that come down too? Will they come down too? No, they won't come down. You know why? Because people are still going to buy the things they want and not the things they need. When there is a common sense purchasing in America, the prices will come down. When you've tapped out your credit card, the prices will come down. But as long as you max out that credit card, and as long as you buy things that you don't need, not the things that you want, but the things you don't need, prices won't come down. Why should they? Why should they come down? You don't buy it, it'll come down. You'll see the 20% off, 30% off, 10% off, 5% off. You think for one thing. Do you think, ladies and gentlemen, when some of the department stores run these super sales, 20% down Monday and Tuesday, okay? We'll give you another 30% down to the sales over $50. And if you cut the coupon out of the paper, we'll give you another 10% off. So now they're giving you almost 60% off the product. Now, ladies and gentlemen, maybe the damn thing wasn't worth the price that it was quoted in the first place. Maybe the real value of the price was 40% or 60% less than what they were selling it for. You're going to have to become a shopper and not a buyer. The price in the stores will not come down. Questions on the chat room? We have some room. Bill from Lenai, Pennsylvania. What do you think of the government taking people's guns during Katrina? Wouldn't you if you were the government? I had mentioned during Katrina why the crime rate maybe in America went up. There were over 20,000 prisoners released from prisons in Louisiana and the areas that were affected by Katrina, and their criminal records were lost. There were about 10,000 animals that were killed. The zoos lost their animals. A lot of pets died. And a lot of records were lost because of Katrina. And a lot of guns were lost. But you may see the gradual encroachment of your freedom. Can't smoke. Got to wear a seatbelt. Stop you if you've been drinking. Of course, we sell you the booze in Pennsylvania, but then we lock you up if you drink it. And gradually, like the frog that goes in the bucket of water and they start cooking it, before the frog knows it's dead, it's burnt, it's cooked. You take a frog and put it in hot water, it'll jump out. So we are the frogs while we lose our freedoms. They can call it the Patriot Act, they can call it a presidential executive order, they can call it an ordinance, they can tell you how high your grass can be, how low your grass can be, that you must wear a seatbelt. If the crisis in this country gets real bad, between the publicity and the propaganda of not only the federal government but local governments, you people will demand that the government confiscate guns. They'll make you so scared out of your drawers that you will be turning your gun in and the government will say, we're doing it to help you. All countries, when they face fiscal, economic crisis, go after the freedoms that people have under the guise that we're helping you out. We're going to make you safe. One of the politicians said something that was very interesting. I've used the expression for years. This is not the beginning of the end, it's the end of the beginning. And like they said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, here's Jennifer from Marlton, who is just a dear, sweet person that I've known for many, many, many years when she was going to grammar school.
Oh, I know her?
No, I don't think so. Yes, Jennifer, it is you, and I love you dearly, and I'm so glad that you're a success. So is it really a good time to buy a house because the prices are low? Or are we foolish to buy it as a thing we want, a thing we need? Everybody, Jennifer, needs a house. Because in a home, you build up equity. It's a saving. When you buy a home, you're putting money in a savings account. You buy it right. The prices are low. Make sure that you have a budget for repairs for that home. Put money aside for taxes. Put money aside for maintenance. Have an operating budget and a capital budget. This is the best time to buy real estate. But remember one thing. The broker that sells you the home represents the seller, not you. The broker that sells the home represents the seller, not you. I know you're an attorney, but if you don't know real estate law, get one of your colleagues to protect you as the buyer. People think, well, I bought it from a broker. Well, that broker represents, see, the broker gets the commission from the seller, not from you. But yes, a home is something you need. If it's the home you need, not the home you want. I'd like to live in Donald Trump's Del Rosa Plaza out on the West Coast. I can't afford it. So I live in the house that I need. It ended up being the house that I want. But this is a good time to buy a home. And Jennifer, I love you and thanks for tuning in. We have some more room for questions on the website. Or on our chat room. I saw a headline in a paper today in the Philadelphia Inquirer that actually boggled my mind. And I just want to relate this to you. The Morning's Inquirer had a picture of police officer Patrick McDonald, the police officer that got killed last week, was buried last week. And under the picture of his motorcycle was this line: Patrick McDonald shot by alleged paroled felon. What the hell do you mean, alleged? I know it's picayune. I know it's a matter of semantics. But if you at the Inquirer want me to have any credibility in your newspaper, there was nothing alleged about this guy. He had a criminal record, unfortunately. Probably deserted as a baby. Committed his first crime at 10. There was nothing alleged about him. He was a paroled felon, and he killed Officer Patrick McDonald. I will grant an untried or a questionable criminal and grant him the ability for me to call him alleged. But I'll be damned when the evidence is so overwhelming that this guy Bittens killed Officer McDonald to recognize him as an alleged killer. Unbelievable. Little bit of side bit here, and that is Joe Biden, the vice presidential candidate for President of the United States, Vice President of the United States, and Sarah Palin both have something in common. And I wonder if it is going to tenor their feeling about our conflict in Afghanistan and in Iraq. I don't call it a war, folks, because ain't nobody ever declared it a war. Until it's declared a war, it ain't a war, as far as I'm concerned. But both of them have sons going to Iraq. I just wonder, when they make their speeches now, written by a speech writer, not by themselves, which should be mandatory in political campaigns, whether their attitude is going to be different. When you hear them speak at rallies, fundraisers, listen carefully to Senator Biden and Vice Presidential candidate Sarah Palin. Something here is so funny, ladies and gentlemen. There is an unknown war going on in Philadelphia. There's a war going on in Philadelphia for you people that don't know. We got a war going on. I mean, a real serious war. For those of you who know for years that Joe Vento, the owner of Gino Steaks, famous for cheesesteak sandwiches in Philadelphia, has been an acquaintance of mine. And also the original owners of Pat's Steak Sandwiches, which is located right across the street from Gino's. And I love them both. They have a working relationship between the two of them. That's up to them. They're competitors, but each in their own way has their own thing to do. Well, Joe Vento put a sign up many months ago. Maybe it's over a year now.
Yeah.
Over a year, is it?
Over a year.
It's well over a year. And he's received national recognition. And he said, when ordering a cheesesteak, please use English. And that drew a tremendous amount of attention around the country, around the world. Joe's been on Good Morning America, and he's been on every radio program all over, and people have applauded him. But you got to know Joe Vento. Joe Vento doesn't have a mean bone in his body. Oh, he may sound rough and tough and ornery and cantankerous, but he's really not. He has been more charitable to more causes than any businessman I know. Has given away more money for good causes than most businessmen. But what could Pat Steaks come up with to get some competitive attention from the newspapers, from the media? So Pat Steaks, which is located right across the street from Gino Steaks, now has a picture with this sign under it. Free English lessons with purchase of a cheesesteak. So on one side of the street we have Gino Steaks saying, when ordering, please order in English. And across the street, Pat says, we give free English lessons with each cheesesteak. I think that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah, because then you order at Pat's, you get your English lesson, and then you
go over to Gino's and speak English.
Over to Gino's and speak English.
That's a good thought, Ron. You know, folks, sometimes we get too big for our britches. O.J. Simpson, getting a little bit too big for his britches, finally took a hit. None of us are invincible. Vince Fumo, Senator Fumo of the state of Pennsylvania, got a little bit too big for his britches, and he's taking a hit. And I hate to say this, but I deal with the truth. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. But my friend Brian Tierney, that used to return phone calls, who doesn't do it anymore, for some reason or other, I don't know why. I think, Brian, you got a little bit too big for your britches. He is the chief holding officer of the Philadelphia Inquirer, Media Limited, and .com, Philadelphia.com, and all. It was not the time to buy the newspapers. So, folks, I can only tell you this. Don't get too big for your britches. Getting back to the economy, speaking with some folks today, nobody knows whether or not this $700 billion bailout is going to work. Apparently it didn't reflect it on the stock market today. But the real people that are in trouble are you and me in many ways. One, our purchasing power has been reduced. Our incomes are going to be reduced due to unemployment. And the third thing is the local municipalities, your local governments, are going to be cash strapped. And so local governments have two things to do, of course. They can reduce the services that we get in our communities, or they can raise taxes or create new ones. The third thing is we're extremely fortunate because the cold weather has not hit yet. Flu shots, pneumonia shots are vitally important for those people who are vulnerable, according to the medical profession. So we're getting a double barrel hit. We're getting a hit from the economy where we don't know where it's going, and we're going to get a weather hit. But I want to go to a nitwit on radio that I heard today, Glenn Beck. You are going to hear, and I predict, we must turn back to our religion. We must pray to God. This is Glenn Beck. I thought it was a preacher. I'm switching it out. What am I doing here? Nothing wrong with it. But the casinos in America are generating more money and more revenue than the houses of worship are. You go to the casino during the week, you ain't got no money for the collection pot on Sunday. I predict you will see picketing outside the casinos by conservative religious groups because their congregations are losing the money that the churches need in the houses of gambling, not the house of the Lord. You're going to hear these fake phonies on television, on radio, suddenly becoming so holy Joe, it's going to boggle your mind. But we're in some serious times, ladies and gentlemen. As my good friend Dr. Jim Corey once used to close his program with, I believe it was, there's no such thing as tough times, only tough people. This is the time in America to show how tough we are. The question is, how tough are you, and how tough are you going to be? Take your pride and stick it in your ear. When you see you're getting in trouble, go out and ask for help. Don't become a disaster if you can prevent it. Talk to your family. Talk to your friends. Talk to your attorney. Don't be afraid to speak. We all live in fear. And sometimes the road to fear is worse than the thing we fear the most. America right now is being tested as one of the great civilizations of all kind. Some British historian said that American democracy was a system of government created by geniuses. Unfortunately, it's run by idiots. It's time to stop voting the idiots in office. This election should be declared null and void. 4 idiots are running that don't have the capability of the intellect, in my opinion, and the strength and the courage to handle what this country is going to face. And in closing, I would just like to say that the president that we have for the next 30 days has proven to me that for 8 years